Hello, this is Pamela Lynch, and welcome to the 6 C's from conception to celebration. I'm sharing tonight the 6 C's, but I'm also sharing with them how they tie into our 6 core desires that we have. And you might remember these as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we've switched them up so that they were no longer coming from the place of need, but the place of desire. It is much more powerful. And so I'd like to just dive in, and I'm going to share my screen and we will get moving. So I so appreciate you being here and tuning in. So here we are. My publishing company, Alicia, just birthed, and now I'm helping people to birth their stories and to birth their books. So the 6 C's, here's our agenda for the evening. The 6 C's, and what are they? We're going to talk a little bit about your dream book and the big distractor, and then creating harmony between your distractor and your dream. So my big promise to you is to show you the core steps to guide you to write your story faster and more eloquently. Now, when you keep this in mind while you're writing, you allow yourself to be in flow so that we can shift out of our brain, always trying to turn on into the analyst and the distractor, which I will share in a little bit. So here are the 6 C's. So the first one is your concept. It's the idea that you have. And if it is your story and it is already in your mind, in your body, you are thinking about it, you're breathing it, you're waking up, and you have a conversation going on in your head about it, and you are really in the book. It's in your head, but you're not quite obsessed with it, but you find yourself thinking about it, and then you go on and do other things, and then it comes back and it floats in and out, but it's always there and it's niggling at you. And I love this little picture of the girl having ice cream, right? Because we can be thinking whatever it is that we desire, we just embrace it, we devour it, we love it, we enjoy it. And when that calls you, it's up to you to say yes to that. So the book is yours to write, and it's as good as done. So when you have the idea or the concept or whatever that is, it goes into the collective consciousness. So it's not just you that's receiving this idea. Other people are receiving the idea as well. But only you can tell your story in your own way. So you have this uniqueness about you that is all of your experience, all of your circumstances in your life. Everything is yours, and nobody else can duplicate that. But it's up to you to take that next step, which is the commitment to be devoted to writing your book. We can't half do something. We can start and stop and start and stop, but if you really want to write this book, you need to make a commitment and you need to be devoted to it. It will tie into your purpose. It's the work that you're meant to be doing, and it's your idea and your book. And the third one is compassion. We need compassion for ourselves, for when we didn't do something and we wanted to do it, when we tripped up, when something unforeseen happened and we've delayed the process of the book, the writing of the book, we've put it off for a week and then 2 weeks goes by. We need to be oh so gentle to ourselves. We need to be committed. And then the next one is consistency. Consistency allows us to do bit by bit by bit, to be consistent every single day and do just a little bit. If you were to write for a half hour every day, you would write your book in a year. If you've given yourself bigger chunks of time, you can do it sooner. But if you were so focused on your book and you knew the idea, you were committed to writing it, you were compassionate with yourself, and you were consistent, you would find yourself in a space of being able to write it much faster. And then the next one is courage. So having the courage to write something, because sometimes there's people involved who might not like what you write. But this is your story from your perspective in whatever may have been downloaded to you for you to share out into the world, or perhaps you just need the courage to write it for yourself, because when you do, you will see amazing breakthroughs in your life. When you can really look at what's the real story, because there's a story and then there's the real story, and it takes courage to look deep. And then the last one is celebration, to be able to celebrate all the steps along the way. Not just the big, oh my goodness, the book is done, but, oh, I wrote for a half hour today, and celebrating, being with yourself and feeling the energy within you where you can just feel that compassion. You can feel that you've made the commitment. And now I'd like to go through and go back to them and talk about the 6 core desires that are with it. So we have a desire for significance. So when we write our book and we are writing our book, we're writing it and we want it to be significant. We want it to matter. We want our book to have meaning, and we want the process that we go through to also have meaning. So we want to be writing it with someone who can lead you through it, or have a writing group, whatever that looks like for you, but to be able to know that what you're writing has meaning and will be of significance when it is complete, whether it's published or not, because sometimes we just need to write the book. And then the next one, commitment, is love, because we need to be devoted to it. We need to love ourselves enough and have enough devotion to be able to commit to doing the work, to actually physically writing the book, because Spirit will give us the nudge and Spirit will give us the synchronicities, but we are here in the physical form and we actually need to do the work. We need to receive the ideas and then put them out on pen or paper or computer and put them into form. And we do that through love. And then compassion is about growth. So being able to have compassion for ourselves, and then also have compassion for our readers. So when we can look beyond ourselves and see who we're writing for, then we will be able to connect at a deeper level, and we will connect with ourselves, and we'll also connect with Spirit. And that takes faith, and it takes trust in ourselves to be able to have that compassion. And the next one, consistency. And consistency is about choice. We can choose to do something in this moment or choose not to do it. And when we do and we choose it and we're consistent with it, we can be certain about it. So the desire is the desire for certainty. And the other desire is for uncertainty. We might not think it's a desire, but we do. We desire uncertainty. We love surprises. We love to imagine if you knew everything that was going to happen. It would be so boring for me, and I'm sure it might be for you as well. So we have the desire for uncertainty, and it comes through courage because we don't know what's coming, and we have the courage to do it anyway. And then the final one is celebration, and that is about contribution, to be able to make a contribution, to do something that is more than just about us ourselves. We're making a contribution to humanity, and often we're able to do that through a book, through telling our stories, to be able to really embrace the gift of storytelling. I'm going to move on with that we start with our dream, right? So you have this idea, you have this nudge, you have this niggling feeling that won't go away. And I know that that's what happened with me, and it followed me through my life, where I remember sitting as a little girl reading a Nancy Drew book, and I was in the bathtub and the water was getting cold, but I couldn't stop reading. And I remember, I was only about 7 years old, and I remember thinking, what would it be like to write this book? I didn't have the information, the words, the idea of what it meant to be an author or what it meant to, have a book published. I didn't know any of that. But for me to have that idea at such a young age and just, I would like to do this someday. And when you do, it is such a beautiful gift to actually have a dream and then to be able to see it come to fruition and be able to see the impact that it makes on other people's lives. So when we have a dream, we need to know why we're doing it. Because if you don't know why you're writing the book in the first place, then the smallest little thing will trip you up, and it will be really easy to go to one of those thousands of things that get in the way of why you can't do a book. Right? Who would want to read my book? It's way too big. It takes a long time. There's just not enough time for me to do this. I'm way too busy. Can be a zillion reasons why, and I'm happy to supply you with a list of the 100 that I came up with. Might not be 100, but certainly is quite a number, as I was just brainstorming on all the reasons why it gets in our way. Right? And then to know what it is that you want to write about, right? Why do you want to do it? And what is it that is your thing to write about? The distractor. So every time you have an idea, a dream, you have a nudge, you set an intention, you have a goal, it doesn't matter what it is, there's a part of us that shows up, and it's called the doubter. And it distracts us from being able to do what it is that we want to do, because our doubter is from the part of us that is there to keep us safe, to not change, right? And one of our core desires is for growth, right? But we also have the need for certainty. So if I'm going to write a book, I'm not certain what that's going to look like. So you can get caught between wanting to do something and you have this dream, and then the doubter shows up. So I want to share with you what happens when we have this show up for us. So we have this idea, we have this dream, we're future envisioning, we're having this beautiful process where we're imagining what it will be like to actually write our book. The excitement of it, perhaps when you visualize, you can go into a place where you see people in front of you, you see people in the bookstore, you see things, you see your book facing out on the bookshelf. All of these are processes that I'm going to take people through in the program that I'm doing. And anyway, to be able to have that dream, and then the doubter shows up, the process is so simple. It might just blow your mind. You journal and you have a conversation with the part of you that just wants to be heard. And if we ignore and we push down the parts of us that want to be heard, they get louder, or they can get softer. And so then we don't really know that they're there. And then we have no idea why we're feeling the way we're feeling, because we're not able to connect to that part of ourselves. So we write down. So the process that I use, I write down my name, and I write Pamela, and then a colon, and then I write down, what is it that I desire? I desire to, my intention is to write for 30 minutes, because I want to write a book. And then the doubter turns up and says, but why? You've tried to write before. What makes you think you can write now? And so you write in your journal, doubter, with a colon. And you write down what the doubter said. And then you write your name with a colon. And you write down, oh, that's interesting that you've thought that. Why do you think that? Why do you say that? What makes you believe that? What experience have I had where I've done that? And so you go back and forth between you asking the question and for the doubter to have a voice to speak the truth of what it is. All right, so when you have your dream and you've dealt with those other parts of yourself that like to show up, which just might be your doubter, it might be the analyst. The analyst is the part of you who says, what? How are you going to pay for that? I don't see that money in that bank account. So whatever those parts are, you have that conversation and you journal about it. No matter if it's the doubter, whatever it is, it's the thing that is distracting you from doing what it is that you want to do. And you know in your core of hearts that this is what you're meant to be doing. Because if it's your book to write, it is already written. You've already taken the steps. You've taken one step and you've taken another step, and it's gotten you to this place, and then you will continue to take those steps. And if you have consistent action and you have the commitment to do it and you have the compassion for yourself, you will do it. So the next question that you want to ask yourself is, what's your core value? And when you label your core value, right, what is the thing that you value the most? So why do you want to write the book? It'll come back to that. Why is it that you want to write this book? And so for me, it's freedom, because I know that one of my highest values is freedom, and the other one is fun. We need to be having fun doing what we're doing. Right? I'm sitting here smiling, and I hope you are too. And anyway, so it's freedom. And so freedom to me means to give generously. So when I have freedom, true freedom in my life, that means I'm going to be able to give generously. I want to choose to love unconditionally. So it doesn't matter. That means a whole lot of other things, like no judgment, no complaining, no blaming, no shaming myself and other people. So it means a lot of different things. But to release everything that doesn't serve me having freedom, right? So I need to have the practices to do it. And I want to live a wholehearted life. I want to enjoy my life, to be able to do things like prepare for a master class and spend hours and hours doing it, and then delivering it and having fun doing it, right? And today I went out I'm in Arizona, and I was dog sitting for a girlfriend, and there's another lady who is in one of the groups, one of the coaching groups that I'm in, and she lives here, and she lives in another town away, but my friend connected us, and we decided to go out today. And she asked if it was a good day. I said yes, and I said that a few days ago, and then she asked last night if it was still a good day, and I knew that I had this to deliver. But I also knew that I've been here in this space and just taking dogs for walks and just really just being here and working and creating. And so for me to be able to get in a car and go and see some sights and be a tourist, and we had lunch together, and it was it's probably the nicest day since, like, for 10 days. It was so gorgeous today. So for me, the freedom to be able to do that, I knew that I would still deliver this. I knew that it would be valuable for other people. Having the freedom to just go hang out with someone in the sunshine and enjoy some shopping and lunch. That's what life is about. Life is about being able to enjoy the process of whatever it is that we're doing, whether it is writing a book, right? Creating a business, having different ideas that we can implement, and knowing how to deal with the parts that trip us up, like the doubter, the analyst, and the complainer, right? We have all of these parts. And it's so lovely. So I'd like you to think about what it is that is your core value. And if you know that, then I'd love for you to put that in the chat or to private message me, send me a message. I would love to know what your dream is, what your idea for your book is, and what your core value is, and also what gets in your way. That's one of the pieces that we miss quite often, is that we set an intention and we can assign a higher emotion to it. So what's the elevated emotion that I want to feel? But then we don't go, okay, what's going to trip us up? What's going to get in the way of me doing this? And it is such a powerful practice to be able to just journal that. When you write down your intention, you write down your elevated emotion that you want, and also what is it that's going to get in the way, and what is that emotion. So for me, for the last year anyway, it has been about trust, not trusting myself, right? So I have one of my intentions was to be able to connect to spirit so that I could channel, so that I can be present and be able to just really connect, get out of my head and into my heart and live from that space. So that was my desire. The elevated emotion would be love for myself, and the thing that would trip me up would be distractions getting in the way, and the emotion would be lack of trust, not trusting myself. So being able to know what that is for you is so powerful. And so when we are writing our story, we're often writing a story from a place of looking in the past and writing something about the past, and we want to write that story, want to get that story out. And when we do, there's a new story that emerges. And I know that this happened for me when I was writing a chapter in an anthology, and I wrote my chapter, and then I went, that's not it. And I wrote it again. It's like, that's not it. And I wrote that chapter 3 times, and each time I went deeper. I did more forgiveness work. I had compassion. I knew that it was, that I needed to really connect into the divine, because I really wanted to heal. I wanted to heal my broken heart. And that required that I actually open up my heart for self-love. So that was the process that I used. But forgiveness came before compassion. And quite often we think that forgiveness comes before gratitude. So we think that if we have gratitude, then we'll be able to, we will wish things into being, right? If I am grateful enough, right? But if we haven't done the forgiveness work, then it will trip us up. So I found that I needed to do forgiveness first. I needed to forgive the people who were in the play with me, right, through my life. And I was the main player. So it was up to me to be able to see the real story. And it was the book, right? It's the story that mattered. And that's really what I want to help people with in this new endeavor in this publishing company that I've created. So imagine, I'd like you to just ask yourself, what if? What if writing your story is the very thing you need to free you? And what if writing the story heals your heart and transforms you, just as it did me? And what if writing your book is exactly what your one needs for their healing and transformation? So I want to just pop back up here and just go over this again. So we have the 6 C's from concept to celebration. So concept, right? That is about significance. Commitment is about love and self-love, love for others, love for your purpose, and love for your idea, and love for the person who you're actually writing the book for. And compassion is about growth, being able to really connect, right? So when we have compassion for ourselves, it's about having passion for all that we're doing. And when we do that, we're naturally growing, and there's a great big bug on the floor that I saw earlier, and I was wondering when it was going to show up. It showed up now. That's okay. It's on its own journey. And the next one is consistency. And consistency is about knowing that you have a choice, and there are always several choices that you have. One of my coaches says we have 9 choices. Whenever we think we are stuck on something, there are always 9 different options that we have. And that is about certainty. And then courage is about uncertainty, and celebration is about contribution. So I look forward to connecting with you, and hope that you enjoyed this masterclass, and I will be bringing you more, and I will also be sharing more about the program that's coming out really soon to be able to help people actually write the story. So we're shifting through this process and having time together, writing in a co-working group, and then also having one-on-one time in the group, learning about the writing process and learning about publishing, but it will be the writing part of the program. So thank you so much for being here. It has been my pleasure and my honor to spend this time with you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you again soon, and you can reach me through PamelaLynch.com and or through any of the Facebook groups, because most people who are on here are already connected to me, but if you're not, then please go to PamelaLynch.com, and thank you so much for spending this time with me.